welcome back to Friends Are Weird. Your take on all things strange and silly happening in the world today. I'm your co-host, Joey.
And I'm Stone.
Let's get into it, gang. Stone, how the heck are you, buddy?
I'm doing pretty fantastic, man. I had myself a week. It's been good. How about your own self?
What do you mean you had yourself a week?
Just getting all the notifications of our podcast being out and about, and it's really lifted my mood.
We're
Feels
basically
like we're not
influencers
just
now.
playing radio anymore. Like we're a podcast now. We're professionals.
We have 4 subscribers on YouTube and at least a dozen likes on TikTok. So I'm pretty much thinking that it's time for you to quit your job.
Yeah, we're pretty much skyrocketing in popularity. Thank you to all our fans. Love you all.
Mm-hmm.
But
thank you.
That's fantastic, and it's been really cool seeing my own face. Like, not to get too narcissistic, but to see my own face pop up on YouTube and all my notifications. Mm-hmm. It's something special.
It's been nice seeing your face and your name in something other than an arrest record.
Right? Mm-hmm. My long, extensive, numerous arrest record.
Mm-hmm. At least 5 times. All right, man. Well, tell me what you got going on.
All right. Well, my first story of the day is about supervillain and gay Nazi fish, Kanye West, who's shocked absolutely nobody who's been aware of him for the past 4 years by ripping out his entire top row of teeth this past week to replace him with a single titanium tooth. He posted the pics of his new look to Instagram and compared himself to the Bond villain Jaws. But to me, the whole concept of a single white tooth made of titanium is more akin to a Catman baddie from the Fairly Odd Parents than a Bond villain. I wanted to know what your thoughts are on that.
So I saw that. At first, I wasn't surprised at all. I was like, of course, that's a very yay thing to do. Couple of thoughts. The first thing is it looks terrible. Like when you look at the picture of it, and we'll try to get like a picture up here, it doesn't even look like it's even, right? Like it looks like it's off center. Like one tooth is longer than the other or something.
Yeah, it looks like he tried to get like little things on there. I don't know, to help him like bite his meat or something. To me, it looks a lot more like, you remember in middle school when kids would like take a Wrigley's wrapper and pretend that they had grills? It looks exactly like that. It's so stupid, in his face. Like, hopefully the swelling will go down, but all the pics I've seen of it, like his face is all puffy and he just looks like an idiot with the titanium tooth from fucking Fairly Odd Parents.
I did read though, because I was like, oh my god, why would you rip out all of your teeth? I read apparently he didn't actually rip out any teeth. It's more like a I don't know, something that goes over his existing teeth. They said it's not quite dentures, it's a completely revolutionary orthoscopic, or I don't know what the word, dental scopic, whatever the word for teeth operation is. Apparently it's like a revolutionary thing, but he didn't actually rip out any teeth, which I guess is good.
Yeah, from what I had heard, he had like ripped him out and had it like anchored in like three of his sockets, but that could be wrong. Maybe my sources are off, but I was under the impression that he just replaced his teeth, his human teeth, with that of a fucking god.
The best part about all of it is all of the like reports, I think from his publicist, even came out and said like right now he can't chew food because of it.
Oh, of course. It doesn't look like something you would want to chew food with in the first place. It doesn't look like teeth.
No. Oh, no.
It looks like he just has a blade.
Well, hey, you bringing up Nazi Bond villains made me think of my pal Elon Musk and how he's in the news right now. Did you hear about this?
A friend of the show, Elon Musk. I've heard some some very interesting tales of him this week, but perhaps not the same one that you've heard.
So Elon Musk and Ben Shapiro took a trip to Auschwitz. I don't know if you remember in I think like December, maybe November or December of last year, Elon was denounced by the White House for some anti-Semitic tweets that he made. Do you remember those?
Vaguely, like something about he was definitely posting like the Jewish question, like what should be done
Yeah,
about
like
these Jews that have a stranglehold on the world and are pulling all
yeah,
the strings.
like basically somebody had posted or somebody had tweeted or I don't even know what you call them now. Do you just call them X'd? Somebody had X'd out some tweets about replacement theory, and Elon Musk quoted him saying, "This is the question to ask." And basically, ever since then, Elon's been on a tear of how to prove that he's definitely totally not anti-Semitic whatsoever. And it
Right.
started with a an atonement tour with Ben Shapiro, ultimately leading to a visit to the Auschwitz death camp. Basically, he spent this time saying, "Hey, I don't actually see any anti-Semitism in the world," pushing back against accusations of anti-Semitism
It's just a
in
thing that
recent
doesn't
months.
exist.
Yeah, yeah. On Monday, he took basically this tour to a new level, declaring himself aspirationally Jewish. Not only is he an asshole, he's also a fake Jew. After his visit to the former Nazi death camp, he lit a candle in memory of the millions of Jews that were murdered in the Holocaust. He then
That's a
took to
good way to
social,
make up for it.
for
Light
sure.
a candle.
He then took to social media to say, "I have a lot of friends that are Jewish, and I just don't see anti-Semitism. In fact, you might as well consider me Jewish. You might as well say I'm aspirationally Jewish."
He's
And
Aspergerationally Jewish.
Jews all
Oh,
across the world then declared him not Jewish whatsoever, and in fact a bigger asshole than we ever thought he was.
oh man, bigger than we thought he was. That's a pretty high bar to clear, but I'm at least glad that he he recognizes that some people died during the Holocaust.
At least a few he believes in.
Yeah, he's probably one of those people that's like, it was more like 600. Yeah, yeah, wow, what a fucking asshole. I heard
I've been on
some.
the oh go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I heard some comedian go off about Elon Musk like maybe about a week or so ago. He was talking about like what a fucking asshole he is, but he actually likes the guy because if there's anyone on Earth that's actually gonna drain all his funds and get rid of his money, it's him.
I just love that he's like, I haven't seen any anti Semitism whatsoever. Have you spent any amount of time on Twitter since he's taken over? There's actually a study that came out last year by two British groups that found that the number of plausibly anti Semitic posts rose 105% since Elon Musk took over.
That doesn't surprise me at all. And I haven't been on Twitter since he took over, and I've barely been on Twitter before he took over. It's always kind of not been my jam. But yeah, it kind of sucks that he took like a whole American institution that people use for their business and just like completely fucking threw it away.
It's
And
just
you
it's
could
just all a shame because Elon was supposed to be the hero that we deserved and the hero that we needed, and he turned out to just be the biggest butthole supervillain of them all.
he really is taking like a full on supervillain route with his life. That is it's wild. But yeah, fuck it. And fuck Twitter or X or TwitX or X Twitter, as a lot of people have been calling it.
Oh,
Just
that's
the
good.
names put together that sounds like a subreddit or something for exes, like X Reddit. Like, oh, my ex is such a dumb bitch. Here's a story about her. It sounds like a specific part of Twitter where people go to bitch about their exes. And no one's ever going to just call it X except for the verified profile. That is one good thing about him taking over Twitter. Like, you at least, they're the only people, like, with the verified stamp.
Well, not necessarily. Like celebrities and stuff still retain their verified stamps.
haven't
Businesses.
most haven't most of them decided not to because they're not going to pay him $8 a month? Like, that's what I've been
Mm-mm.
hearing, is that most verified celebrities are just like, fuck it, I'm not going to be on Twitter anymore. Like,
Nope.
some of them have even threatened to sue him, like, for sure, like athletes and shit have threatened to sue him for retaining their verified stamp because
Yeah.
they don't even want it anymore.
I actually just deactivated my Twitter account today finally, but yeah,
Oh, good for
you'd be
you.
surprised. More of them still retained that verified check, and there was actually something where Elon gave out X percentage of verified checks for free to certain celebrities. I can maybe think of a handful of celebrities off the top of my mind who actually went through and either deactivated their account or didn't bother paying to get the verified mark.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I know that, like, a lot of trolls have, like, I don't remember what company it was, like in some cable company, like, someone verified their Twitter account and renamed themselves after this cable company, and they're like, hey, everything's for free now. Same with, like, an insulin brand. They're like, hey,
Mm,
we're no longer charging, and, like, their
I
stocks plummeted, and uh,
I did see
like
that.
pretty much verification doesn't mean actually verified anymore. It's just a way to show off that you're an asshole
It was
and that
also a
you.
great it was also a great way to prove that the economy doesn't actually mean anything, that if stocks can plummet because of a tweet, like what kind of dystopian place do we live in if your company's value can completely erode because of a tweet?
Well, yeah, I mean, this whole house of cards is, like, completely crumbling, the economy included.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, that is fucking wild. So my next story is also about a villain. Man, this is like villain week or something. But one of my favorite real life villains was finally caught and is awaiting justice. Nicholas Alaverdian, aka Nicholas Rossi, aka Arthur Knight, has finally been extradited to the United States. And let me preface this story with the fact that this man is he's a disgusting, sick individual, and his initial crimes are unforgivable and horrific. Even state sanctioned execution is too lenient a punishment for this piece of shit. But with that out of the way, he is the funniest fucking guy that I've ever heard of. Nicholas, who's credibly accused of rape in two separate cases in Utah alone, as well as rape, sexual assault, and kidnapping charges in the states of Rhode Island, Ohio, and Massachusetts, has faked his own death with an obituary he clearly wrote himself, and has adopted at least 10 different aliases since then, and was most recently arrested in Scotland after being put into a medically induced coma due to a COVID infection in 2021. A nurse on his intensive care unit noticed his many, many tattoos all seem to correlate with those of a wanted fugitive on the Interpol's most wanted list. Uh, Before his COVID contraction, however, he was going by the most British sounding fake name since Albert Crumpet Knickers, Arthur Knight. This persona was reportedly an Irish orphan who moved to England in his youth and later Scotland, where he'd hang out at a local pub all day and speak boisterously about how fancy a lad he is and his personal views on Brexit. And I've got a video that goes along with this that I think you're going to really enjoy.
Let's see it.
Of, let's see.
Oh, you
Andrea,
no,
that's a low blow. That's a right low blow. We were once a normal family, but thanks to the media, our lives have been interrupted. and we'd like privacy, and I would like to go back to being a normal husband. But I can't, because I can't breathe, I can't walk. People say that's an act. Let me try to stand up. Let me try to stand up. Exactly. Exactly.
What do you say to someone who believes that you are Nicholas Alaverdi?
I am not, Andrea. I am not Nicholas Alaverdi, and I do not know how to make this clear.
He's like crying crocodile tears that are clearly fake. It's the most ridiculous shit that I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, he's got all the tattoos that this Utah rapist has, and he just his British accent is so obviously fake. He would just sit around at a pub and, oh yes, I am Arthur Knight. Oh,
Damn.
cheerio, governor. It's the most ridiculous shit. But yeah, he's probably my favorite supervillain in the world, like real life supervillain in the world. Just everything about his case is completely ridiculous, and he was just finally extradited to the United States, awaiting
Oh, good.
trial for his many crimes.
Good. Damn. When we were doing research for this episode, I kept coming across that story, but I didn't have the time to like delve into it because of the other stories that I was looking into. That's wild. What a piece of
And
shit.
we've covered this story once in a previous episode, but it was when we were trying to record just on our phones with no mics or anything. So it's complete garbage what we already recorded. But it kind of reminds me of our friend Mac, who used to just, I mean, he's not a convicted rapist or anything, but he would just
we know
develop these weird personas, and like he would be a drummer in a band one month, or he'd be like super into fitness, or a longboard, or whatever. He would just be that guy. He would choose a thing to try to get into and make it his entire personality. And he even looks kind of like Mac. Just kind of a chubby piece of shit, clearly acting out a persona that he's recently adopted. And it's fucking hilarious to me. Not his crimes, not his many violent, terrible crimes, but just the persona adaptation, you know?
Well, damn. I like that we've been on the train of super villains, but now I'm here to tell you a little bit more of a wholesome story about some local superheroes to the city of Houston and how the people of Houston came together and said, screw you to the man. Have you heard of the organization Food Not Bombs out of Houston?
I haven't, no.
So Food Not Bombs is an organization who dedicates their time to feed the homeless. They're primarily based out of Houston, but you might see subsects of them throughout other major cities. They've gone viral on TikTok over the last couple of months because Houston Police Department, or HPD, continues to write them violations for their food service ordinance, saying that because they're serving more than 6 or more people at a time, they're breaking the law, thus racking up nearly 100 tickets just in the last few months. Well,
damn, ticket number 77 for feeding homeless people.
And
That's
it just
some
continued
fucking
to rack
bullshit.
up. As of just last week, they had their official hearing, and at that point, they were at over 90 tickets for feeding the homeless. And you might think, man, this isn't weird news, and Joey, you said this was wholesome news. Something incredible happened during their trial. Although it was just a civil trial, mostly held by courts that see traffic violations and minor offenses, a juror of 15 Houstonians all unanimously walked out of the courthouse and stated they would not try and would not be part of any sort of trial that would reprimand Food Not Bombs. Therefore, as of today, the court case, although it hasn't been thrown out, is in what's called a nullified status, and it will be up to Houston's district attorney to decide if they want to try again. But kudos to the people of Houston who said this is fucked up. We should not be punishing them. Food Not Bombs deserves to be celebrated, not penalized.
Fuck yeah. Way to go, Houston. See, it's not the people of Texas that are shitty. It's just the people that run the place.
Yeah,
But
it's just Greg Abbott.
yeah, goddamn though. Trying to Jesus. What happened to their church and state shit where churches don't have to pay taxes? Why should they legally be on the hook for actually doing something positive for the community? That's insane.
You
Like
said it
they're
best,
not
Harry.
gonna they're not gonna go after churches for owning a fucking tank. Like I literally saw some footage of like one of those mega churches where they owned a
Mm-hmm.
tank and they were crushing like a ton of cars. It was like a M1 Abrams, like top of the line, like Iraq war refuse that uh, didn't get used supposedly, and this church fucking bought it to put on a fucking tank crushing monster truck show like the Righteous Gemstones or some shit. And that will get them like no heat from the government at all, so long as they're spending it on bullshit. But spending it on food to help out
Mm-hmm.
people in need, man,
God
yeah,
forbid.
shame on the city of Houston, but good for the
Kudos to the
people
people.
that wash their hands of that fucking nonsense, because that
Bringing
is
up
absolutely terrible.
bringing up righteous gemstones and megachurches. I know it's not necessarily a megachurch, but what are your feelings? So for our listeners, all 9 of you out there is a church down the street from where Stone and I live. That's also a movie theater. It used to be a movie theater, and then it got taken over by a church, but it's also still a movie theater. I just learned that recently. You can
It's
still
still a movie
go.
theater.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was looking to
that's
try to find tickets for Godzilla minus one,
yeah.
and yeah, you can still go watch movies there, and also worship God at the same time.
Well, see, they're only playing movies that relate to their church. Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's why they have that. But
That's
anything
why they.
satanic. Yeah,
That's why
that
the
was
only other
really
movie you
disappointing
can
when
get
that
tickets
became a
to is
church.
Passion of the
But
Christ.
yeah, because we all need more anti-Semitism in the world.
Okay, Elon.
Yeah, that was really disappointing when that became a church. See, when you
Mm-hmm.
first brought up a church down the street from you and I thought you were talking about that satanic one right around the corner from my house, like right by where we vote at. You know the one
Oh
I'm
no.
talking about. There's
Yeah, that's
this.
not actually a satanic church, though.
It's not actually a satanic church, but they built this really really big cross behind it, and like right behind the church. So the building blocks out most of it, and it goes from like a cross to like it looks like an upside down cross peeking over. I've
Mhm.
always called it the Church of Satan because that was a really unfortunate place to put your cross. But I thought you were going to be talking about that one. But no, it's good that movie theater is still a church, I guess, or that church
Yeah.
is still a movie theater, I guess. But hell yeah. Luckily, though, we don't have a whole lot of homeless people here. I mean, just not a big enough city for that, I guess.
No, we
But
we do. They just all sleep under the bridge, and we can't see them.
what bridges do we have in Rio Rancho?
Oh, you're talking specifically about Rio Rancho.
yeah. No, there's definitely
Oh,
homeless in Albuquerque, not here in
oh,
Rio
okay.
Rancho.
What
No,
bridges
I
are
think
there in
I
Rio
think it's
Rancho?
because we're conservative ass Rio Rancho, and I think they just move them to Albuquerque.
Hmm. They put them in a. They do like what? I don't know. They put them in a migrant van and drop them off at Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, that's such a stupid, shitty thing. I'm so glad that DeSantis is out of the race. He's such a cuck.
I know.
He he
I
had,
know.
he had no he had no chance at the presidency wearing big silly shoes like that.
Mm-mm.
Now,
Not if he's not going to be out about it.
yeah, for sure, tiny feet Puddin Finger Ronda Sanctimonious. Fuck that guy.
All right, tell me what else you got.
So for my last story, and this kind of relates to you a little bit. Lately, you've been not smoking weed because you say it's been making you paranoid. Mm-hmm. Well, I say you're kind of being a little bitch about it, and you don't even know what weed-induced paranoia even feels like. A California woman was convicted of involuntary manslaughter after she stabbed her boyfriend of about a week approximately 108 times after the couple hit his bong. Now, we all know the dangers of smoking the devil's lettuce, and that this is the likely scenario anytime you touch a drug of any kind, especially weed. But that didn't stop them in partaking of the substance on the night of May 27th, 2018. And luckily for her and the victim's family and everybody involved, the story does have a happy ending. The woman in question had her sentencing hearing this last week and is facing 2 years probation and 100 hours community service. Hopefully that'll teach her a very serious lesson about what happens when you touch a drug. And let that be a lesson to any of our younger audience to never ever use marijuana or any other completely illegal drugs. You might end up serving less than an hour of community service per stab wound you will inevitably inflict on another person. Marijuana, not even once.
Not even once. It was funny, our friend shared this story the other night in our group chat, and I couldn't help but think to myself, this friend is part of a couple. Like, I totally could have seen her being the stabber with who she's dating. Like, and it would have just made sense too. I wouldn't have even questioned it. I would have been like, oh yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, especially after smoking marijuana.
Yeah, not even once.
Well, hey, that's just such a fucking crazy story to me. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
But there's, like, it just really highlights where our legal system even is in this country. Like, there's a woman who was sentenced to 5 years for putting her kid in the wrong school district that had switched borderlines over the summer. So she took her kid to the wrong school, registered him for the wrong school, and was facing like 5 years in prison for that. But this lady stabbed a dude 108 times and 100 hours of community service. That seems about right.
I think I have a crazier crime to one up your marijuana-induced stabbing. But before I get into it, I want to ask, were you somebody who pulled a lot of pranks in your teenage years? Think back to when you were 17. Did you like to pull pranks?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was kind of a little terrorist when I was 17.
What was your favorite prank that you remember pulling?
Favorite prank? I had just watched the movie Red Dawn, the old one. This was before the newer one came out. And are you familiar with that movie? About a bunch of high school kids whose mascot is the Wolverines when Russia invades. And they take over all these military camps loaded to the teeth with grenades and AK-47s, and as they're shooting all these Ruskies that just took over the town, they're screaming, "Wolverines!" Nobody's gonna be intimidated by a bunch of goats storming their military camp after they invade the U.S. I wrote them a letter, even made an illustration of what a Wolverine looks like, and all the benefits of changing our school's mascot to the Wolverines. That, I guess, was kind of a prank. It was just a silly thing that I did. But I guess when in my teenage years, that's probably my best prank.
Okay. Well, I want to tell you about a teen whose Instagram handle is FishBandit84 and how he was arrested in Provo, Utah for taping fishes to ATMs and other objects. The 17-year-old executed these bizarre pranks more than a dozen times from last August through December. throughout the Salt Lake area, but they weren't always just in Utah. In fact, some of these strains' antics went international, posting videos on his Instagram account. Now, before I tell you where else these fish showed up, let me just let you know what this man's Instagram bio is. Live, laugh, tape fish on ATMs.
Okay. Well, I mean, he got right to the point with his handle. Like, I respect it.
One Instagram video shows a taped fish to an ATM in Tokyo in what appears to be a subway station with the
Jesus
caption, "We're going
Christ.
international."
He went international with this operation. That's fucking wonderful.
Other fishy videos have purported to have been taken in Frankfurt, Germany, Guatemala City, and the exotic city of Phoenix.
Wow.
And yet another was taken in the bathroom stall of a Bass Pro Shop, which we have a story about. So check out episode 1 if you want to hear more about crazy antics that can happen at a Bass Pro Shop. Now,
I mean, that would be the place to tape a fish to the ATM. Tape a big old bass. Any idea what kind of fish? Like, are these little goldfish or?
He used a variety, such as trout, bluegill,
Okay,
bass, catfish,
good.
carp,
Good
and
choice.
crappies.
Crappies. I wasn't even aware that crappies were a fish.
I'll throw up some pictures here. One fish even had a cigarette in its mouth with the caption, "No fish were harmed in the making of this prank."
How did he do that without harming fish? Like,
They
don't they need to be...
probably like bought them already dead. Like he himself didn't harm the fish, you know what I mean?
Okay, just let nature harm the fish for him.
The best
Let
part
nature
about
do
all
his
of
dirty
this
work.
is Porvo City or Utah City Police really didn't care up until this man taped a trout to a police car. That's when police got involved and made the arrest.
That'll do it. That'll do it for sure. That's honestly probably the best prank that I've heard about anyone on the internet doing the last several years. Like, pranks these days have literally become like acts of terrorism. There's some dude in England that's been recording himself doing pranks where he just he steals some lady's dog just at a park, runs up, takes her dog and runs away. Or he just goes into people's houses while they're there. He just walks in with his friends and that's the prank. We're in your house, you're being invaded.
Jesus.
Yeah, pranks are terrible, and they often end up in people getting shot. But here's just a couple of examples of these fish being taped to ATMs.
Live, laugh, tape fishes to ATMs.
And there's the one on the cop car.
Oh, yep, that was a fish too far. Yep, that'll get you shut down right quick.
It seems like our fishy friend, though, has been liberated because as of today, although he was arrested, his Instagram account is still active, and he's now produced a TikTok account as well, which I'll link in our bio.
Yeah, well, good. Wow. That is weirder than I had bargained for when we got into this episode of Friends Are Weird. We cover some really weird stories, but that was a whole different level.
I was very excited to share that one with you, and that's why I wanted to save it for last.
I'm so glad you did. But
well, Stone, what else do you got?
That's it for me.
Weird friends, with that, we are out. Before we let you go, make sure to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. My name is Joey.
And I'm Stone.
And together we are weird friends. You all have a great rest of your day.
Love you.
Kisses.